What if the power you seek is not found in the world you've been taught to trust, but buried beneath symbols you've long forgotten how to read? What if real power has nothing to do with force, wealth, or recognition, and everything to do with memory, not of the past, but of your true origin? You see, the world teaches you to climb, to achieve, to dominate, to chase shadows on the cave wall and call them light. But the ancients knew something different, something sacred. They whispered of an inner empire, a hidden order, a kingdom not of this world, where the initiate becomes the throne. This is not the path of many. This is the path of the few, the devoted, the ones who remember the song of the soul and are willing to follow it into silence, mystery, and fire. Long before religions claimed the keys, before temples fell and languages fractured, the ancient path to power ran like a silver thread through every civilization. In Egypt, they called it the wisdom of Thoth. In Greece, it was the Eleusinian mysteries. In India, the yoga of self-realization. In Persia, the fire of Zoroaster. In the Hermetic texts, it was clear, as above, so below. This wasn't superstition, it was science of the soul, not the outer sciences of measurement and material certainty, but the inner science of transformation, the art of becoming, of lifting the lead of the personality into the gold of the spirit, of dying before death so that one might truly live. They built great halls not to impress but to initiate, pyramids that mirrored the stars, temples aligned to the solstice sun, labyrinths not of stone, but of the psyche. And at the heart of every path was the same teaching: know thyself, and thou shalt know the gods. But what does it mean to know the self? Not the mask you wear, not the story you inherited, not your name, your role, your reputation. The self they speak of is not personal, it is archetypal. Not ego, but essence. Not identity, but immortality. It is the flame behind the form, the immortal witness, the silent architect behind your every thought and breath. And the path to that knowing is not easy. It is not safe. Because real initiation demands death, not of the body, but of the illusion. This is the first gate, descent. Every initiate must enter the underworld of the self, to confront the shadow, the beast, the broken mirror, not to destroy it, but to see it clearly, to realize that darkness is not the enemy, it is the veil, and the light you're looking for, it's been burning behind it all along. This is why the ancient myths echo one another, why the hero always descends, Orpheus into the underworld, Osiris into dismemberment, Dionysus into madness, Christ into the tomb, because power does not come from avoiding pain, it comes from transmuting it. Alchemy is not metaphor, it is memory. It is what you were always meant to do. Take the lead of your wounded humanity and refine it into divine radiance. That is power, not the kind the world worships, but the kind the soul remembers. So they carved it into stone, encoded it into symbols, preserved it in myth and mystery, so that those with eyes to see might one day awaken. The serpent eating its tail, eternity. The phoenix, rebirth through fire. The all-seeing eye, awareness beyond duality. The cube within the circle, spirit embodied in form. These were never decorations, they were doors. But you must knock, you must go beyond the intellect, because the mysteries were never meant to be read. They were meant to be lived. Manly P. Hall once wrote that the true temple is not made of marble or gold, but of virtue. That the greatest secrets are not hidden. They are ignored, because they demand something we rarely give: silence, stillness, sacrifice. We crave quick answers. They demand transformation. We seek knowledge. They offer gnosis. We want to be seen. They ask us to see. But once you begin to see, you can never go back. You realize the wars outside are echoes of the war within. You realize the corruption of the world is the unhealed shadow of humanity. You realize your suffering was never punishment, but preparation, because the fire that breaks you is the same fire that forges you. And here, at this threshold, you will be tempted to turn back, to return to comfort, conformity, unconsciousness. But if you stand still, if you listen, if you endure the flame, you will begin to remember, not with the mind, but with the soul, that all the myths were maps, that all the trials were rites, that all the pain was pointing you home, because this is the ancient path to power, the reclamation of your sacred inheritance, the rebirth of divine memory, the realization that nothing real can be lost, only forgotten. And now, in this moment, you are being called to remember. But what are you remembering exactly? You are not recalling a story, a fact, or a name. You are remembering what cannot be written, only awakened. The vibration beneath language, the light beneath thought, the temple within the chest. This is why every sacred tradition used symbols, not sentences, because the symbol bypasses the surface and strikes the soul directly. It speaks in fire, in dreams, in geometry and myth. The ancient ones knew this. They encoded truth in images, the lion, the rose, the staff, and the serpent, so that when the intellect grew tired, the soul could begin to see. Manly P. Hall called these archetypes fragments of the divine mind. They are not superstitions. They are seeds. And the soul, your soul, is the soil. But seeds only bloom in darkness, not in ignorance, but in silence, in the quiet space where the ego no longer shouts. This is why the initiate must walk alone, not forever, but long enough to shed the noise of the crowd, long enough to learn to hear the voice beneath the voices, the sacred whisper of the inner teacher, because the secret teachings were never meant to remain secrets. They are hidden not to exclude, but to protect, not to withhold, but to preserve. You do not give sacred fire to a sleeping soul. You wait until they begin to stir, and you are stirring now. You are beginning to question the idols. You are starting to see through the masks. You are beginning to suspect that this world of division, fear, performance, and projection is not the end. It is the initiation. And this is the greatest illusion the modern world has sold, that power lies outside of you, that you must chase it, earn it, dominate others to possess it. But that is not power, that is compensation. True power is quiet. True power is still. It does not seek attention. It radiates presence. The sages who held the highest wisdom wore no crowns. They did not conquer nations. They conquered themselves. They did not build empires. They built character. They knew the law of correspondence, the discipline of silence, the responsibility that comes with awakening, because when you see clearly, you cannot pretend not to see. And that is the next gate, responsibility. Not in the moralistic sense, but spiritual responsibility. To see truth and live it. To speak what burns inside you even when it shakes your voice. To become what you are, even if the world no longer recognizes you. And the world may not. Because when you walk this path, when you choose the initiatory fire over comfort, you will outgrow the version of yourself that could survive without meaning. The old personality will resist. The world may not celebrate you. You will be called foolish, idealistic, naive. But let them call, let them mock, let them sleep, because you did not come here to be understood. You came here to remember, and in remembering to awaken others. but don't rush to teach. You are still in the temple, still being carved, still being hollowed out for the light to enter. Let the process unfold. Let the pain speak its message. Let the silence baptize your mind in stillness. And when the time comes, when the stone inside your chest breaks open, you will no longer need to convince anyone. Your presence will speak. Your actions will whisper the truth. Your eyes will carry the symbol of the eternal flame. This is what Manly P. Hall meant when he said the true initiate is not made by ritual, but by inner alignment. You don't need a robe. You don't need a title. You don't even need approval. You need truth, not the fleeting truth of opinion, but the enduring truth of being. That beneath this flesh is fire. Beneath the chaos is pattern. Beneath the fear is freedom. But freedom is earned, not through force, but through refinement, through attention, through mastery of thought, through restraint, through stillness, through devotion to that which cannot be seen but must be honored. And if you continue, if you persist through the fire and into the light, you will reach the third gate, revelation. Not information, revelation, where the many become one, where symbols speak without words, where you no longer believe in the divine, you remember you are it, not in ego, not in arrogance, but in utter humility. The kind of humility that says, I am not the source, but I am a vessel of it. I am not the fire, but I carry its spark. And in that realization, you become a living temple, a walking mystery school, a silent bearer of the secret flame, the philosopher's stone hidden in plain sight. This is the ancient path to power, not given, not taken, remembered. And now, a final question. Are you ready to carry the flame? You carry the flame now, not in your hand, but in your being. And though no one else may see it, you will feel it. In how you move through the world, in how silence no longer feels empty, in how chaos no longer owns you. You are not above the world, but you are no longer swallowed by it. This is the power the ancients spoke of. Not domination over others, but dominion over the self, mastery of one's inner kingdom. And here lies the mystery of all mystery schools, that the temple was never built with stone, it was built with choice. One honest choice after another, one sacred yes to what calls from within. The inner path is not walked with feet, it is walked in how you listen, how you respond, how you love. No audience, no applause, just the quiet unfolding of a soul becoming what it already is. You see, you were never waiting to be chosen. You were always waiting to remember that the door was never locked. The gate opens inward, and now that you've stepped through, you no longer chase the light. You become a bearer of it, not to convert, not to fix, but to illuminate, to remind, to embody, so that those still wandering the desert of doubt might see your fire in the distance and remember their own. This is the true great work, not to escape the world, but to sanctify it with your presence, not to rise above the human, but to awaken the divine within it. And when that happens, not in theory, but in your marrow, you will understand what the sages meant when they said, know thyself, and you will know the universe. Because the temple was never out there, it was always you. Welcome home, initiate. The ancient path to power was the return to yourself.